Hey YouTube, 6200 here, back again with another video. And today I wanted to discuss how to protect yourself as a man, especially in the Western world. Unless you've been living under a rock, so to speak, you will understand and you will observe that this is one of the most contentious places and environments and times to exist in as a man, straight man, right? Um, it seems like the focus is much less on race or skin color or features among men, and it's far more about your ideology, your lifestyle. It's far more genderized. And in this kind of contentious environment, it's important that you, as a straight heterosexual man, I think I said that properly, heterosexual, you protect yourself. And the reason you need to protect yourself is because there are no measures in this kind of society that exist to really protect you outside of the default, uh, measures against, typical violence, whether it be robbery, murder, whatever. But what I mean is, say for example, now we're all adults, let's say the workplace, right? You need to understand that in the workplace, first of all, accept that you don't have any friends. Your boss is not your friend. Your colleagues, people on your level, are not your friends. Your subordinates are not your friends. You don't have any friends, right? And as a man, quite frankly, that's something that you should already know, that you don't really have many friends. A lot of us grown men don't have friends. It's just not the same as it was 20, 30, well, 20 years ago plus. Things are just drastically different. A lot more of us are a lot more lonely. This actually applies to both men and women, this particular context. But going back to protection, you need to understand that the social environment, the social climate of having an accusation hurled against you, it's so pervasive and it's so poisonous. There's really very little you can do about it in terms of it already taking place. Quite frankly, the best thing you can do about it is not putting yourself in the position to be accused of anything. Now, this is not gonna, it's not like a one and done, be all end all where this can never happen to you. I'm not gonna lie to you and say, yeah, there are things you could do that, will prevent this. No. But you can put yourself in a place where it's less likely to happen. Um, you know what? It's funny. I go back to Mike Pence, and I remember during the election, during the presidential race, when Trump and Pence were running. This is back in 2016, and it came out that Mike Pence did not spend time with women who were not his wife. He would not sit down with a woman who was not his wife in a room. That became a joke, right? It was literally a joke. Everyone laughed. I even remember thinking to myself, man, this is ridiculous. You're a grown man. But that was 8 years ago, and oh man, Mike Pence got the last laugh because he was correct. He was right. You as a man have no business spending time with any woman who is neither your wife nor a member of your family. If this woman is not your wife, she's not your daughter, your mom, aunt, sister, cousin, what are you spending time with her for? You gain nothing. But there is a risk where you could lose everything by spending time with a woman that you're not related to. Okay? She can come out of that meeting, be it at work, could be some female friend, and she then says to anyone within earshot that she was uncomfortable or she felt uncomfortable. You said something to her, some joke, or you made a comment that wasn't even about her. And in her mind, she misconstrues it or she processes that because the way women think, they process emotion first and then the actual thought later. The information gets processed after the feeling. With us, we process the information and then we decide how we feel about it after. That's what makes us more logical and more direct, and makes them, women on the other hand, illogical and indirect. That's what makes your interaction with a woman or women in general dangerous. This is just not something that I would recommend that you as a man do, especially regularly, right? I remember years ago, my wife and I, this is back in 2015, so this is almost 10 years ago, we went to UAE. We spent almost the entire trip in Dubai, and we went to Abu Dhabi for one day. We took the big bus, and we left Dubai. It was like a nice little drive, and we went straight to Abu Dhabi from there. That was pretty cool. But I remember the cultural shock that my wife and I had. Now they're clearly a Muslim nation. You know, you expect to see the difference in dress, the women in the full scale abayas and hijabs, and you know it's a dry nation, so you can't just go get liquor. It's not like that. So we were aware of that. What we weren't prepared for was we didn't know that even as a married couple, you can't walk around in public holding hands. You can't show each other physical affection. So there is no kissing, there's no hand touch, there's none of that. I remember we went to the Grand Mosque and we were taking a picture, and I put my arm around her, and the guard, he yelled at me. He was an armed guard, and he yelled at me. I could not do that. And I complied immediately, right? I don't go to anyone's country to disrespect them. So once I understood that this is just not something that I could do, I didn't have any complaints about it. But it was a cultural shock. Another example was the two of us riding public transport. I remember my wife and I got on a bus. We were going to it was a local bus, I think, and we were heading to the mall. And the driver, I want to say he might have stopped early, or he might have passed a stop or something like that. I don't recall what exactly happened. But I remember my wife getting upset, and she actually attempted to argue with him. And I'm there, and normally I shut down those. I don't really like more argue with people like that anyway. Excuse me. But the minute she said something, the driver, he looked at her and then looked directly at me, feeling completely disrespected. And I took action. I shut her down and I removed her from the bus. And that was it. I apologized to him. That was it. Another instance, we got on the train, and we did not realize that the train was divided by sex. Women and children, one part, men in another part. In fact, women and children are front in the first car, men are in the second car, or there are any number of rear cars. But the divider is there. They divide by gender. And at the time, there was this young lady, I think she was Filipino, and she tapped my wife on the shoulder and told her that, hey, your husband is actually not supposed to be here. And we were, again, this is like another one of those cultural norms that we did not know about. But as much of a shock as that was, it actually turned out to make complete sense, especially now, given what's happening here in the Western world. What's happening here in the Western world is it's clear that men and women have no business being friends. I mean, we can barely stay married. We're not getting into relationships. We're not having children. We're not building families. And there's a gender war. There's a gender war, and it's very much socially acceptable for women to openly hate men, and to bash men. Like, that is a socially acceptable thing. Like, that happens on regular national TV, cable TV, whatever. So it's clear that this is not the most friendly environment for you as a man, especially a straight man. If you are a straight man, you really need to watch yourself. You really need to pay attention to what's happening around you. You need to pay attention to the trends, where we're going here. You need to be able to identify all the pitfalls that are potentially being set up, for you to fall into those traps. And one of the easiest really is your social interactions with women that are not a part of your family. You need to understand, and this could easily be a broader conversation or a longer conversation, but you really need to understand that women are not your friends. They're not your friends. Okay? And as a man, we don't teach victim mentality. We don't celebrate that. And for good reason, right? As a man, you need to have power and agency. But women, even though they're taught that they have agency, when things get hard, things get difficult, when they are under duress, they feel pressured or feel whatever, they have no problem victimizing themselves, because for a woman, there's power in being a victim. And if that means making you the perp, the villain, she will do it. Your cool homegirl work wife, she will turn around and she could easily say, yes, you made me uncomfortable. And there goes your job, there goes your career, right? Your jump off, your side piece, your friends with benefits. One day she decides that, she's tired of not being promoted to a girlfriend. She could easily make herself feel better and say, yeah, you forced yourself on her. These things are possible. These things happen. So I don't want you to think that it can't happen to you. It can, and it just might. It's happened to many men. It's how the number of transgressions are too many to even go into. You can look that up on your own time. My message to you, men, especially younger men, is very simple. You need to put yourself first. You need to protect yourself, because no one is going to protect you. No one's going to save you. No one's coming to help you. So you need to protect yourself, and that means putting yourself first. Do not put yourself in situations where you are vulnerable, okay? Do not ever believe that a woman is your friend. She's not your friend. Do not congregate and fraternize with women at work. They are not your friends. Ever. If you can record your interactions, do so. That is my advice to you. Okay? I'm a married man. I don't have any business being with any woman, in the company of any woman that is not my wife or in my family. Prove me wrong. That's all for today. 6200 out.